9-year-old son upset after his mom brought him back early when he was supposed to stay with her. My 9-year-old son was supposed to be with his mom this weekend. She picked him up and took him for a few hours and then called me and said he needed to come home. I'm not doing anything this weekend, but it's nice to get a break. So she brought him back. She brought his bag to me and said, I can't fulfill my obligation to our son any longer. Didn't even flinch and walked off. It was the weirdest, most monotone thing I've ever heard. He was in his room sobbing and told me that she told him that she hates him. I don't understand where that even came from. He loves her. And if it were up to him, he would live with her. I took him to his favorite restaurant and he was crying so hard he couldn't eat. We drove by her apartment and it's dark. But I can hear the dog barking when I knock. Her phone is off. I don't know what's going on with her. But my son is just inconsolable. He was really looking forward to being with her. He does every weekend. Even when it isn't her weekend, he asks if he can please just see if maybe he can spend the night. Is there anything I can do to make him see this doesn't have anything to do with him? Her mom went over and she's not there. She says it looks normal. And so the dog and the cat are both at her mom's. The police are notified that something is wrong. Is this out of the ordinary behavior for her? Is she always so cold? Or is this completely new? This is really sad. I'm so sorry. No child should ever have to hear that from any parent. Do you think she's depressed? Or suicidal? Look, I hate to say this, but under the assumption all of this is true, this shit just nuked your son's world. More specifically speaking, this is going to be a serious trauma for him. How okay he may or may not seem, this kind of thing leaves a mark on a child's psyche. And the best, perhaps the only thing you can do is be vigilant and aware of his mental health and reassure him you love and care for him. I am genuinely sorry this happened to him. It's tragic. I use the term very sparingly. But no child, particularly at that age, should face that kind of hurt and rejection. When our comes from a parent, that only compounds the issue. Children that age don't know how to process such things when they're in such a formative phase of development. And it will hurt them. Emotional pain can leave the kinds of scars you can't see. You won't be able to handle it with superficial involvement. I strongly encourage you to seek some professional guidance for yourself. In times likely once your son hits puberty, also for him. I know this might sound dramatic, but children, while resilient to traumas, are also deeply impacted and shaped by them. Help him explore and understand his emotions. Be patient. Give him hugs and reassurance. He will need that from you. Your son is about to hit puberty. His brain is going to start changing significantly. That emotional cocktail results from hormones and a new state of neurogenesis all on its own can be a roller coaster for parent and child. Add on things like this and it can get into a real mess. Try talking with his school, teacher, counselor, principal about this, so if he acts out, they do not respond improperly and can help you and him through the emotional difficulties that may result from his behavior. Look out for your son. I wish you and him the best of luck. What an awful thing to say to a kid. I'm sorry he had to go through that. It must have been extremely traumatizing for him, especially at his age. Look into therapy. Keep him around friends, family as much as possible. Tell him you love him and that will never change. Promise him. I'm nearly in tears thinking about your little man. How could someone do that to a child? If she was having troubles in her own life, she should have spoken to you and only you about it. If you have a court order for visits, then I suggest you try and get in writing what she said, or get a lawyer involved so she can't get back at you for not holding up to your end of the order. Hope he's doing a little better now. My mom did something similar to me when I was around 6/7. I went to get a glass of water from the kitchen one night. My mom came in and started quiet saying how she hated me and I shouldn't have been born. I ruined her life. By the end of this she had started shout, so my dad found her shouting these awful things. He told her to fuck off and leave me alone. She walked out and went to bed. Left me crying, curled up in the corner with my dad, tried to calm me down. This was the first time but not the last time. It wasn't until my teens I found out that my mom was severely depressed and used alcohol the insane extent. We have a relationship now, but we both agreed it's not a parent-child relationship, more of friends. And this has only happened because got the help she needed and worked through my own stuff. I have managed to forgive her, but I'll never forget. I recommend finding out why this is happening and get your son in with a therapist because this will stick with him. I am so sorry for you and your son. I went through this after me and my husband split up. He had always been involved as a father and suddenly was acting very strange and uncaring, like a different person. He had always had mental health issues, but never to the point of not wanting his own kids, so I figured he was having some kind of mental breakdown, only to later learn that he had started using drugs. It sounds like, based on your reaction, that this was very out of character for her, so is it possible that she began using after you split? As for your son, unfortunately, this is going to be a very long process, but I recommend just showing him extra love, having long conversations so he knows he can always count on his daddy, and as hard as it might be, it is so important not to badmouth the absent parent. He will understand better the older he gets, but don't insult his mother in front of him. What helped the most with my daughter was constantly reminding her that she is not responsible for anyone else's behavior, and that whatever her dad's real issue was, no one person should have the power to control so much negative space in her head. Oh my God. You need to check up on that woman right now. One of my had this done to him. His mother left him on his father's porch and said something to the same effect of, "I can't be a mother anymore," and killed herself. You need to make sure that she is not trying to harm herself in there. And then ask your son what she said to him word for word. Now that that's out of the way. About your son. Honestly. Rather than trying to distract him with dinner at his favorite restaurant, sit him down in your living room or bedroom and just listen to what he has to say. Let him cry for as long as he needs. Let him get it all out of his system. It might take a while, but he will finally calm down enough for you listen to what he got to say. You might be able to piece something together from that. I seriously hope that she's not suicidal. She could be. Absolutely. And it is good that you took action. But the monotone could also mean something else. People speak in monotone when they are trying very hard to keep their emotions in check because they fear they might start crying, yelling, or anything like that. Her walking off quickly might point in the same direction, her wanting to hold it together for long enough for her sake. Yours are the son's, and then just get out of there before she cracked. But that doesn't have to mean suicide. Here are a few other ideas which might make her want to walk away from you and her son. Is she with someone else? Maybe she met someone she is so in love with now and who doesn't want children. Wouldn't be the first time someone drops their kid for a new partner. Sadly. Any chance she's pregnant with another child from another man? Any chance she has trouble with the law or a huge debt or anything like that and has to disappear by moving elsewhere? Or maybe losing her home, becoming homeless? Also thinking about child support here. Any chance she lost her job and is moving far away for a new one? Or for any other reason? Any chance she might have some sort of horrible illness? cancer, tumor, organ failure, and might pass away soon, and think that breaking contact with the son like she did now would be easier than him seeing her die? These are just ideas, and nothing about this might apply. Maybe she just really is done with being a parent, and the idea has been festering in her mind for some time, and something caused her to go, nope, not doing this anymore, now. But regardless of the reason, your son is obviously in so much emotional pain that I recommend getting him a child therapist, not just for the situation now, but also for the future, because no matter what the reasoning of his mother is, even if she was just on drugs or whatever, your son's trust will be damaged. He is traumatized now, and he will need help to overcome this and whatever might follow this situation. It's normal to need time to warm up to a therapist and feel comfortable with them. So the sooner he can see one, the sooner and better the therapist can help. Despite the fact that you, too, must be in utter turmoil right now, I advise you to not wait on this and find a therapist. Get on waiting lists ASAP. Basically Monday at the latest, if you can't sign up anywhere online on the weekend. I really hope the mother turns up unharmed, that you find out what's going on with her, and that it's something that can be fixed in whatever way. There really isn't anything you can say or do that will make him feel any better about it. All you can do is consistently show him you love him. He will always have this mother wound. Therapy and time can help him cope with it, but it will always be a part of him. He'll probably go through the stages of grief at some point when he realizes she's not coming back. Be prepared for him to get very depressed and struggle. Talk to his school about this so his teachers understand he's gonna need some extra TLC. Hey op. It sounds like the mom is going through an extremely hard time right now. Mentally and emotionally, and honestly, if this is the first time this has happened, I would call someone in her friend group to check on her if you don't want to get the cops involved. Cops would be best choice for a wellness check, but depending on where you all live, is there a parenting counselor or something that would be willing to reach out to her? For your son, this is a really bad time for him because kids get extremely sensitive and aware. He knows something is up, and he couldn't and possibly can't wrap his head around this. I would hold him. Let him feel what he is feeling and say that there is absolutely no way that his mom meant what she said to him. Text her and ask what she's going through and that you are there to listen. Wait to bring up that your guy's son has been crying non-stop since she left until you know she is okay. P.S. As a stepdad, it is completely normal for the kids to want to spend more time with the parents that they don't spend the most amount of time with. It's something that we went through for about 5 years until the kids were able to choose who they wanted to be with and how much time they wanted to spend with us and their dad. It did help the situation a little bit. But this is especially rough time. The oldest, it is a boy, and he confided in me that he wished that he could spend an equal amount of time with his parents, but because of school and everything it wouldn't work out, but he felt like he had to choose one parent or the other, like when it came to everyday things, and I made him feel like he had to show favoritism when he didn't want to. At this point he probably thinks because he spends most of the time with you that whatever's wrong with mom is his fault because he's with you most of the time. God bless you. Seriously man, I'm so sorry. Poor kid. What a horrible thing to hear. Call the police and request a welfare check on her ASAP. Explain that she seemed very devoid of emotion and was acting out of character. I hope she's okay. If the opportunity arises, do not leave your son alone with this woman again. She sounds unstable at the moment, and until you have a complete understanding of her situation and her mental health, you need to protect your son. Get your son to therapy right now. Any updates? Hope your son is okay. Sad face. Sounds like she is either suicidal or perhaps high. You should not be bringing your son around her after she said that she hated him. You're setting him up for failure and heartbreak. Call the police for a welfare check and document everything and bring it to court for custody. Children are so emotionally fragile. This rejection could do serious damage. Thankfully, he seems to have a loving father. Please get you and him therapy. Maybe you two can go together. Just focus on your bond with him. Be his rock. Please update me when you get an update about her. Sending healing vibes for you and especially your baby boy. This is the saddest fucking thing. Maybe she's going through something, but I don't care. Don't let him be around her anymore. She might say worst things or, God forbid, harm your child. Be very gentle with him and explain as best as you can. Communicate through text so you have evidence in case you need it. Just my advice. Please take it or leave it. Give your son lots of hugs. When he wakes up, let him know that it's perfectly fine to cry. And mommy didn't mean what she said. Feelings come in waves. Let him feel the sadness and release it. Then encourage him to move on to something that makes him happy. Then the sadness will come again. Then pass. Tell him that she isn't acting like herself. She's very sick in the head. And you to love her and are worried and sad about her behavior. You said that this is very unlike her. So mentally, she is not alright. Tell him that you and grandma are trying to get her to see a doctor so she can get better. IDK how old your son is. But that's what I would tell a 5-year-old. Of course. I'm not a therapist, you don't have to take my advice. Let his teacher know that he's going through a tough time and look for a therapist for him. He needs to learn how to process his emotions in a healthy way. As a side note, I knew a little girl one time who loved her mother more than anything. She was the fun parent and was recently divorced from her dad. One day, the mom picked her up from school because it was her weekend to have to her. She was so excited to be with her mom. That evening, the mom called the dad and said that she needed him to take the girl. She didn't have an excuse. She just had errands to run or something and she couldn't have her daughter. The dad was pissed. She had given up her weekend time before to go out and party and stuff. But he took his daughter anyway. That night, the mom drove over the dividing line and straight into a semi. She died. No one ever knew if it was an accident or if she did it on purpose. But if she had her daughter with her, she would have died too. I'm saying this because we don't know why things happen. All we know is that right now, you are the safest person your son can possibly be with. You have him right now for a reason.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.